I entered the tea room precisely at 3 o'clock. Tea time had always been at 3 p.m. in Grandma's house, although neither my mother nor I had ever participated. We could always see her, behind the glass, sipping her afternoon tea, as she watched us play in the garden. Grandma was already seated, wearing a beautiful sequined black gown. There was no mask. She was still the young, beautiful woman I met yesterday. Apparently, the need for a disguise had concluded. She smiled as I walked in, no doubt pleased I decided to come. On the table were 2 cups and a teapot, steam pouring from the spout. "Hello, dear. I'm glad you decided to come," she said. "How could I resist?" I replied, taking the seat at the table. "Truly," she said, nodding. "I was in your position once, a very long time ago." I did not respond. My attention focused on the kettle. "You want more, don't you?" she said. It was incredible. I haven't felt like that in years." "And how do you feel today?" "Still different, but nothing like I did yesterday." "Unfortunately, this effect is not permanent. It must constantly be maintained." "What is it? The tea, I mean." "It's complicated," she said, pouring the tea into my cup. "Now sip this slowly. It is much better that way." I pulled the cups to my lips and took a sip. I gagged briefly, but kept it down. "Tell me what this is." "Soon enough, my dear," she said, taking a sip. "Are you ready to hop down the rabbit hole?" "I'm ready," I said greedily, taking another sip of the hot, rancid tea. "You and I were born into a very special family. Unfortunately, I know very little of our origins, but one thing is unquestionable. We have been blessed with a remarkable gift. It is your inheritance, revealed to you at your mother's passing. The source of this gift has been lost, but lucky for us, the benefit remains. What I do know is this: our power comes strictly from the tea you are consuming, with nothing more required. Now this blend here," she said, holding up her cup, "it has significantly stronger effect on me than it will you." "Why is that?" "Well, because it is a unique blend tailored specifically for me. Soon you will have your personal blend, precisely brewed for your own use. When consumed, it will transform your entire life in a matter of minutes." "Like what happened to my eyesight?" "That is a small part of it, but the effect is more comprehensive than that. In its simplest explanation, the tea could be described as a fountain of youth. The exquisite beauty you enjoyed as a young woman will all be yours again, only now it will be amplified. Imagine being a young, beautiful woman, but never needing makeup or even watching what you eat. You will have the metabolism and stamina of a professional athlete, easily able to accomplish any physical task you attempt. Your skin will be flawless and perfectly colored without the need of any products. That long black hair of yours, well, it will be perfect. Every single day, your body will be the epitome of health. Getting sick will be just a distant memory, erased from your life, like the wrinkles from your eyes. You will look like you're 18 years old again." 18 years old? Are you serious?" "Very. Here, take a look at yourself," my grandmother said, handing me a small brass mirror. As I peered at my reflection, my face was already looking brighter and healthier. I was changing with each sip. "And I won't get sick?" "I have not had so much as a cough in the past 70 years, she said. "Is that how long you've been doing this?" "Yes, it is around that number. This is a very powerful asset. All of this, you see, my youth, my extreme wealth, have all derived from drinking this tea." "How did your youth bring you such incredible wealth?" "In many ways. The easiest method is simple enough: seduction and manipulation. Combine a wise mind with the body of a goddess and you have a lethal combination. Men are like flies. Put out some honey and they buzz into the trap, blindfolds and all. They are simple creatures. However, that is not your only weapon. The world has changed, and women of today can make their own way, without the need of powerful men. You see, youth and beauty are not the only benefits. It also purifies the brain of all its imperfections, resulting in a vastly improved function. Your intellect will increase tenfold. You will soak up and retain vast amounts of information with ease, as long as you continue to drink from this cup. Amassing great wealth with these attributes is simple." This sounds all too good to be true. In some way it is. I would be lying if I told you that there was no cost. However, I find it pales in comparison to the benefit you may or may not feel the same way. "What is the cost?" "Your mother," she said. My mood soured with all the excitement I had forgotten about her. "What happened to her?" I said, a revitalized anger rising to the surface. "I loved your mother dearly, Teresa. Everything I did, the distant relationship, avoiding her funeral, it was all for her own good, but we will cross that path soon enough. For now, just remember, there is a profound cost, and you alone must decide if the cost is worth it. For me, it was." Our family gift is passed down on the matrilineal bloodline. Unfortunately, the ability to use it always skips a generation. I inherited it from my grandmother, whose grandmother passed it on to her, and so on for the last 3 centuries. It was revealed to me on the day my own mother died, and today I pass it to you. Sadly, your mother was unable to receive this gift, and thus it could only come to you, my only granddaughter. Cassandra, like your mother, cannot receive its power. It is reserved for your eventual granddaughter. If Cassandra does not bear a female child, the gift will end. I sat back deep in thought and continued to sip the disgusting brew. It was bitter and grainy, but with each sip it delivered more of what I was craving. My physical senses were all heightened. Hearing, touch, smell, sight. It was all so vivid and clear. This was truly a miracle. Now that you understand the immense power, it is time I revealed the source, which I must warn you is incredibly unsettling. I can still vividly remember the day I learned the dark secret of its power. It was very difficult, but I assure you the negative feelings will pass once you ingest your first cup of tea. What is so great about the first cup? Everything, she said, a smile curling upon her lips. It is specifically blended for you. The blend we have been consuming, it belongs to me. It can only give you a brief glimpse behind the curtain. To reveal all, you must consume it at a full strength. After your first cup, you will look 30 and feel 20. This effect will last for several days, but if you drink it daily, well, that is where the real magic happens. You will be thrust into the prime of your life, armed with an assortment of weapons you never had access to the first time around. Nothing can stop you. There is no death. No death? Correct. Let's say someone you trust tries to take your life. Something which, given your power, will probably happen at least once. Jealousy is a nasty beast. Imagine you are stabbed. Well, that's not a problem at all. Your body will just heal itself almost instantaneously. Strangulation? Doesn't matter. You will just keep breathing. No illness or disease can ever harm you. You will be, while under its effect, immortal. I was stunned, imagining this must all be a dream. Immortality, eternal beauty, more money than I could spend. It all seemed too good to be true. "Tell me how to make it. I am ready," I said. I was through waiting. "The $1,000,000 question. Well, no use putting it off any longer. You will either accept it or not. What's the catch? It must be important." "Finish your drink. It is better I show you." I took the last swig, wincing as it went down. As I stood up, I felt no more pain in my knees, and my lungs, well, I bet that I could run a marathon on a single breath. "Come this way," my grandmother said. "What you are about to learn will seem disturbing and grotesque at first, but I need you to remain calm and think of the bigger picture. This is an amazing opportunity for you, Teresa. Please try and understand that." "Where are we going?" I asked as we walked down a small dark hallway, one I had never seen before. "You want to know the catch?" "Yes," I said. "Well, it's a big one." At the end of the hall was a dead end. Grandma's fingers touched the wallpaper and delicately drew a pattern. It was some sophisticated hidden keypad. She then pressed her palm on the wall and a hidden door slid open. Cold air rushed out towards us. "What is this place?" I asked. "This is my freezer." Inside the hidden room was a small table with various items on it. At the far side was a large steel door, a door to a walk-in freezer. I felt a bit of nervousness sweep up through me, briefly dampening the euphoria. "It is time. Behind this door is the truth," she said, slowly opening the freezer door. A fluorescent light flickered to life. Just as I looked inside, I turned my head and retched, hacking up the tea from my belly. "Fuck!" I shrieked, staring at the corpse which lay stiff on a gurney. The body had been mutilated. The left leg and arm were gone. It was the body of a woman. "Teresa, this is my mother. She was your great-grandmother," she said flatly. My great-grandmother? I said, shocked with fear. What the fuck is she doing in your freezer? Well, my dear, this is the catch. My grandmother grabbed a large knife that hung from a ring and approached the body. The dead woman was nude, and to my amazement, looked surprisingly good for a century-old corpse. Without hesitation, my grandmother went straight for the right thigh and hacked off a small piece of the hardened flesh. I almost spilled up more tea, but I watched, hypnotized, in a paralyzed shock. After removing the flesh, she left the freezer and approached the table. She placed the flesh in a small grinder. Seconds later, it was morphed into a fine powder, which she dumped onto the table. Once I saw her grab the empty tea bag, I understood. This is afternoon tea? I said, horrified. This is the secret. How could you do such a thing? That is your mother. Unfortunately, this is the only way it works. Our life is drawn from their death. The realization hit me like an oncoming train. I understand how to make my blend. You don't mean, do you? I said, not wanting to believe it. It is the only way to obtain the key to unlimited youth. You must continue down the same road as your ancestors. Do you honestly think I would hack up my mother and drink her? All those years away from us have warped your mind. What you choose is solely yours. I am just here to show you the way, as you must do for your granddaughter when Cassandra passes. You can't be serious. Cassandra will never be some extract so that some fictitious granddaughter can follow this path. I understand how difficult this is to comprehend. I have stood in your shoes, but I am not here to convince you, only to show you the way. I will never, I said firmly. Fine, but please, you must let me finish. It is my duty. I am sworn to reveal everything to you. Get it over with, I demanded. You will need your mother's body. This will not be a problem. Soon you will understand that anything is possible with the power of money. I suggest keeping the body frozen, as I have done. It will last much longer and eliminate the nasty side effects associated with the death. You must drink at least a cup a week to stay healthy and keep a median age around 30. To get all the benefits and relive your youth, then you must drink a cup per day. If my calculations are correct, freezing and conserving her body, and only living half the year drinking a cup a day, you will survive at least another 200 years. You can extend that number an additional 100 years with proper rationing. How can you talk like this? So apathetic. That is your daughter we were talking about, your flesh and blood. You don't think I know that? My grandmother said, a hint of anger in her voice. Don't you think a part of me regrets this life? It is worse than just consuming her body, much worse. What did you do to her? I said, anger seething from my insides. Have you ever wondered why your life was so shitty growing up? Why you were always poor, and why your mother always seemed to have the worst possible luck? What are you saying? The gift requires a cyclical process. While I became younger, she became older. I got rich, she had to be poor. I was healthy, she was not. This path requires the ultimate sacrifice. Your only daughter. The moment you begin to consume, her life begins its decline. She will experience a rough life, but she will scrape by and survive, and eventually give birth to a daughter. This child will be one of us, and inherit the gifts. She too will enjoy a wonderful life. Cassandra will give her child the greatest gift imaginable, as your mother gave you. It is quite noble if you think about it. That is not my choice to make. How incredibly selfish do you think I am? Maybe now you can understand my absence, and why I could barely stomach seeing your mother more than once a year. And I only went that far because I wanted to see you. It was devastating to see her failing, while I had it all. Early on I tried to stay, but it was too much, so I moved to England. I disguised myself and hid the secrets from you all. What about the last 20 years? Where were you then? I knew she would get very sick. It was inevitable. I couldn't handle watching her suffer and die, and it was your fault, you disgusting woman, I said, glaring at her with disdain. It had to be done. I did it all for you. Don't you understand? I am done with this. I am leaving. It will be a cold day in hell before I ruin my daughter's life. I understand, she said quietly. Be aware, though, I anticipated this reaction and made some choices for you. Goodbye, Grandma. I will not be returning, I said, turning away from her porcelain-like face. I was on the next plane home to LA that afternoon.